for me, I'm in a new role, and it's introducing manufacturing best practices to people on the floor in the brewing industry. And so I just thought, personally, come and learn some best practices, just like we had on the tour recently. Compare, do some benchmarking. There's a couple of tools here they're going to be doing on Six Sigma, and on just some software tools, some practical stuff I can bring back to the floor and use with my team.
What was an example of the process that you found on the tour that maps from electronics manufacturing to brewing?
Well, quite a lot, actually. I think the first thing I was struck by when I came in was they were calling it visual factory management. We'd call it 5S. It's kind of interchangeable. And so I just found it interesting that a plant that was that old, it's probably, I think they said 50, nearly 60 years old, that it can look that organized. And we have a lot of people in our plant, which is probably more on the 80-year-old, getting close to 90, saying, well, this is impossible. You can't do this here. This doesn't apply here. And they just took it for granted. They didn't even talk about it. And they didn't even talk about their standards. They just said, follow the 5S standards on every sign. It was so ingrained, and I thought that part of the culture was so basic and so fundamental. And I asked them a question about people's roles, and they also had some assumptions around multi-skilling, where if I try to, some of the people I work with, they question how effective is multi-skilling really going to be, and I saw it at work everywhere. It was a supposition of how they do their work every day. They just expected it.
And when did Coors Miller roughly start their lean journey in earnest?
I think both companies, before the JV went through this July, I think we've been at it roughly 5 years, kind of formally, with a formal structure with an external consultant. But there's been some efforts at it on and off, and they've tried for over 30 years, and they've lost a lot of momentum. And one of the things we discussed with Celestica was the need for senior management support and buy-in and visibility on the floor. And I think that's a key thing in making sure that it just gets off the ground in the first place. That's been a challenge for us.
What else do you hope to visit at the conference, and what kind of experience are you expecting from the conference?
Two things. Three. I'm interested in the keynote speakers, just what they have to say and what experiences they've had with lean manufacturing. Again, some of these workshops, they're only an hour or two. The one I'm really interested in is a nanotechnology workshop for 4 hours. Coming out of a biotech background, I'm interested and keen to what some of the new technologies, you might not really understand how it works. And if you don't have that base knowledge, it'll show up one day at work and you're behind the 8 ball trying to figure out how to make it work. And then I think the last one is just getting to know better the people inside my own organization that I'm meeting for the first time because of this JV.
So you get to network with your own colleagues as much as anybody else at the conference.
Yeah, and do some internal benchmarking and just ask them some questions about what's been going on. When you go from direct competitors to now you're all one big happy family, you're trying to make that family work as well as you can. And I'm looking forward to all three of those.
And when we were shopping around for ideas, sources for your own program, what did AME offer that maybe some other places didn't?
When you mean my own program, like our own manufacturing program?
Well,
your own
reading and searching online and seeing which conferences you might go to. What did you find at the AME that might have been different from?
I think what surprised me about the pamphlet and the schedule was just the sheer diversity of companies that were showing up. There's aerospace, high tech, food industry, which is relative to me being in food and beverage. A couple of other ones, and an emphasis on green manufacturing. I think that's definitely going to be an impact on how we do manufacturing as we go forward. And it's obviously a big issue in the U.S. elections going on right now. Who's greener or not, or why, and how that impacts things. So I think those were two things I wasn't sure I was going to get, and I was pleased to see the diversity on them.